hasn't it? Because suddenly he's losing places hand over fist. The lead gap is just creeping up slightly once again. Wehrlein over Vitoris, as the drivers work their way now, looking for the wetter parts of the road significantly on that section of the circuit, down towards the end of the lap. Glock ahead of Tomczyk. He's made good progress up from the rear of the grid. He's got Tombe behind him as well, as the cars then now work their way to the end of lap number 19. Wehrlein is 8.9 seconds now ahead of Vitoris.
There we're seeing Glock
runs wide
out.
Yeah, Tomczyk passed him, Tombe passed him, so Glock struggling there. It's the drive out of the corner, not enough traction. And again, look, you can see more and more of the drivers thinking about where the wet parts of the road are. And Ekstrom is ahead of Jamie Green, so that puts him into the top 10. So there's a point there for Ekstrom. He's salvaging something. Don't rule him out yet. There is still a long way to go in these treacherous conditions.
And these conditions, I mean, the track just doesn't appear to be drying out at all, does it?
Not much. I mean, we are getting personal best sectors, but only now and again. There's no pattern to it. You're quite right. What we are seeing is that on different laps, different drivers will suddenly seem to be going quicker. Whether that's down to car setup, some have perhaps set the cars up for a fully wet road or a drying track. We have a drive-through penalty for Maxime Martin, for Adrian Tombe, and also for Vitaly Petrov and for Daniel Juncadella. So the man that is third, significantly, Juncadella, is being given a drive-through penalty.
He's just clattered the wall, as you can see there in replay.
And also being given a drive-through is Robert Wickens. So third and fifth get drive-throughs.
So there, Daniel Juncadella is going to lose his podium, isn't he, with that drive-through penalty. Once the drivers have been advised of that drive-through penalty, you have to take it within 3 laps of that advice being given. So as we see the cars head down now, the boards being hung out from the pit lane, as you can see, there is, well, in comes Tombe, Glock, Petrov and Martin.
Why is Glock coming in?
Well, it's not a drive-through penalty for Glock, is it?
He's got a problem, perhaps. Maybe it's damage, because I think they're waving him to the garage.
Yeah,
looks as though that's the end of the race for Timo Glock. So, problem for the yellow BMW. So, Glock's BMW out of the race. So, it wasn't a penalty problem, but he came in with all those serving their drive-throughs. So, the order is shuffled yet again.
Yes, it is. And whilst that order was shuffling around, Pascal Wehrlein, who now is 9 seconds to the good ahead of Vitoris. And there is the car of Danny Juncadella, the man that, well, at this stage looked likely for a podium potentially. Not going to happen now with that drive-through penalty.
Although there is a long way to go. You never know what might pan out in these conditions. Never say never. Robert Wickens comes in now to serve his drive-through. So that's another Mercedes driver in strife. So at the end of the next lap, we'll start to get a better idea of who is where. Bear in mind, of course, that Juncadella had quite a big advantage, and a drive-through doesn't lose you as much time here because you actually shortcut the lap. You take quite a chunk off the last corner by coming into the pit lane. And so the timing screen still has him down in third place. There is Robert Wickens, who makes his way down the pit road now, but we'll get a true idea of the order at the end of the next lap. Jamie Green has only just gone through. There, look, you can see Wickens is going to rejoin in that battle pack that includes Rockenfeller, and so there he is, right on the tail of Mike Rockenfeller. That's going to put him in 7th place. He's not lost too much, has he?
No. There is Jamie Green. Tomczyk there. And, Robert Wickens now up the inside of Mike Rockenfeller. Going to dive through here. Mercedes as a brand here, the conditions really coming to Mercedes as now Paul di Resta on Augusto Farfus is looking really aggressive, isn't he? We're on board with Mike Rockenfeller. He's just been passed by Robert Wickens, and now Augusto Farfus under real pressure from Paul di Resta.
Farfus tries to get up the inside of Rockenfeller and should do it.
Here's Juncadella taking his drive-through.
Yeah, he's in now,
Let's see where he comes back out. You're absolutely right in that the pit lane here is such that it does provide a slow but shortcut, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's going to join in that group, isn't he, I think, because a full pit stop is 21 seconds, so a drive-through is going to be fractionally shorter than that, so he might well be able to stay within that top 6. Timo Scheider, incidentally, has just done a personal best lap. He, of course, has just inherited 3rd place, but he did the best of anybody in the middle sector, and so, as back on track now goes Daniel Juncker. He's only lost 1 place. He's still ahead of Wittmann. So he may temporarily have lost his podium, but he could well get that back because he's still in the mix.
Well, we're on board with Robert Wickens, who's now attacking the number 23 car of Marco Wittmann. And Robert Wickens looking really, really racy. P6 at the moment. Wittmann ahead of him is P5. Wickens is just all over the back of that BMW. Now, of course, what Wittmann needs not to do is just for there to be any contact between him and Robert Wickens. And Robert Wickens is... pressure is mounting on Marco Wittmann ahead. Under investigation then Mike Rockenfeller and Timo Glock.
Spengler in again, onto the options now. Well, they've tried everything as Wickens goes up the inside of Marco Wittmann, but Wittmann will have the inside line for the next corner, so he stands his ground. But here comes Wickens right round the outside. He finds a bit more traction. Fantastic move.
Well, Robert Wickens there, an absolute brilliant charge, wasn't it? Where there should be less grip, he felt confident, he was able to stay committed with it, and look, he's just absolutely sailed past Marco Wittmann, and is already 3 car lengths up the road.
You're on board with Wittmann then as he comes over the line, but Robert Wickens absolutely flying here as he comes over the line. But you're absolutely right about how good the Mercedes look collectively here. De Resta is working his way up the order, and we're heading towards pit stop time, aren't we now? Driving standards flag now for Rockenfeller against Glock, but as we get towards pit stop time, if it is dry enough, people are going to want to go onto the option tyre because that's the quicker tyre. Rockenfeller's view of Wickens making his move up the inside of Wittmann. It's fascinating to see how different drivers and different cars have their good periods of the race. You know, we suddenly see one driver making progress and then he plateaus and somebody else starts to make progress, and it can only really be down in part to car setup as well. Some, as the road dries, are starting to get faster, some better on a wetter road and others set up to go better on a drying track. You see, Scheider, in the last couple of laps, is absolutely storming because he keeps doing the absolute best in the middle sector. So Timo Scheider's Audi, running in 3rd position, is certainly one to watch. The lead gap is still a monster one as Wehrlein and Vitoris come over the line. It's been hovering around the 9-second mark. It's down to 8.6 now, but it's still good.
Which is pointing to the fact that the whatever setup, whatever Mercedes have done, the conditions absolutely working for that brand of car today.
Now there is the lapped Spengler. Scheider, you see, absolute best in Sector 2, personal best in Sector 3 on the wet tyres. So there's the evidence that you don't want to go yet onto slicks, because if towards the midpoint of the race you're still able to do absolute best sectors on a pretty well-used set of wet tyres.
And they are. They're 23 laps old now, aren't
exactly. It shows you what the track conditions are like.
Well, there we are. The track not coming to those that are on slick tyres. Timo Scheider proving that, and he's P3 ahead Vitoris, and then P1 is Pascal Wehrlein. We're on board with Mike Rockenfeller now, who's been shown the black and white flag for his little skirmish earlier on. Marco Wittmann then is P6. Here comes Paul de Resta on Mike Rockenfeller.
That looked easy, up the inside. Again, a Mercedes, as the race wears on, looking stronger and stronger. So it's Wehrlein, Vitoris, Scheider, Juncker. They are 4th, and contact in the background. Jamie Green has come to grief. And he's not the only one, because I think involved in that as well is Martin Tomczyk. Tomczyk tagged by Jamie Green. Poor old Jamie's having a really, really busy race, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yes, we go back on board with Jamie. We'll get a replay of that incident, I feel sure. But Jamie Green having a torrid time of it today, isn't he?
There's Mike Rockenfeller. And straight away, the Tomczyk-Green incident is under investigation. We'll have a look at the replay. Jamie Green turns in and just brakes a little bit too late, tagged the back of Tomczyk. I don't think that was deliberate. I think it was just that he was a little bit too quick into the corner, just brushed the back. But as they're turning through the corner, they're both pretty much unsettled. It doesn't take much to spin them around.
And, well, as we could see. So
now, Vitoris has just taken 6/10 out of Wehrlein's lead gap. Wittmann is under attack from De Resta. Here you have got two drivers who could win the championship as 24-year-olds. That was the age De Resta won it at. Wittmann will be 24 if he wins it this year, although when De Resta won it, he was younger by a few months than Wittmann may be, even if he were to win it today. So you've got the youngest ever versus the second youngest ever elect in Marco Wittmann, but Paul De Resta is about to make his move up the inside, and that Mercedes, as the race is wearing on, is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, isn't it? Up the inside of Wittmann, he goes there absolutely side by side, diving through at turn 6 off the banking, and the Mercedes goes through.
It is an incredible machine, isn't it? And we're seeing that now in the early stages of the race. Paul De Resta wasn't showing the pace that the car is now.
Well, he did have a lot more work to do because he was 21st on the grid. So, you know,
Sure.
he's worked his way up from there. But you're right, it's getting stronger and stronger now. And it's interesting that Rockenfeller has been stuck behind Wittmann for the bulk of the last few laps. Other people have caught and passed him and pulled away. Caught and passed Wittmann and pulled away. Another example there in De Resta. But Rockenfeller can't do it himself.
No.
Or the Audi can't enable him to do it himself, as there De Resta slides a little bit. Rockenfeller has got Farfus up behind him, and then also is Matthias Ekstrom. The Audis looking collectively to struggle here. The one exception to that is Scheider, who is still up there in the top 3, and the fastest lap of the race has just been done by Juncker.
Okay.
You following all this?
Yes, I think I am. So we're on board with Mike Rockenfeller and Marco Wittmann, really hugging the inside of the circuit, then through the left hand of this turn 1 into turn 2, then 3. As you can see, it snakes there. Brilliant shot that we're able to bring you here. Staying on board with Mike Rockenfeller right now, though, as he gets ever closer to the Marco Wittmann car ahead. Now, interestingly here, De Resta hasn't got as far up the road as perhaps I expected him to do so. So Marco Wittmann trying to stay with him here. Here is the championship prediction on screen for you. Wittmann on 126 points. Then Christian Vitoris on 59. Then it would be Rocky and Matthias Ekstrom on 57, with Edo losing out on a point and dropping all the way back down to P5.
Okay, Mortara comes in then, and another set of slicks goes on. So they've gone from the option to the prime, but even though the fastest lap has just recently been done by a car on wets, keeping him onto slicks. So we're on lap 27. Wehrlein is being caught by Vitoris. The gap is down to 6.9 seconds. We need those two to get together and scrap to enable Scheider to join the mix as well, because after the third place car, you're 9 seconds, give or take, before fourth. All of these battles we've been looking at the bottom end of the top 10 have been great, but I'm afraid they've enabled the leaders to build a huge advantage. So at the moment, Wehrlein and Vitoris and Scheider are so far ahead that it really needs a safety car to bring the rest into the game. Now it is pit stop time, so Farfus is in, Ekstrom is in, Jamie Green is in. And what are they going to do? Wets or slicks? We need to keep an eye on this and see what's going on. Wets have come off Farfus, and he's gone on to the option.
Interesting. Right, here's Ekstrom.
Option.
Yeah, going on to options as well. Now, remind me, how many seconds ago was it you were saying about the fastest lap?
Not that many.
No.
But interestingly, Spangler has just suddenly done the absolute best in the first sector.
Oh.
So now it becomes even more enthralling, this race, doesn't it? So if you've gone onto those tyres now, Maxime Martin is on the options as well.
And there was an issue there. As you can see, the gun was actually still on the wheel. And
Problem.
that is it. Well,
Wheel nut's not tight, is it?
No,
The wheel's coming off.
The team was so sharp on that replay, the wheel is off, isn't it?
Yeah,
about to come off.
You could just see a little puff of smoke where the bodywork was fouling against a tyre, and Ekstrom, with effectively a three-wheel car, doesn't gamble on limping it round to the pits. He's parked it. So the team, so quick, but collectively, it all goes wrong in the pit stops. Right, Scheider is in. Does that go on to options? Let's wait and see. Yes, it does. Juncker is in. Options.
So now under investigation is Ekstrom for an unsafe release, of course. And in comes Marco Wittmann.
we can start talking about the champion-elect. He goes onto the option tyre. Pit lane very, very busy indeed. Now you can see as we've got to the part where you can now go onto option tyres and run to the end. But interesting that everybody is going on to them, ready for the road to dry a little bit more rather than going on to another set of wets. Wittmann is ahead of